deserve.
First things first, on a Monday morning, did Aaron Rodgers' Super Bowl chances get a super boost over the weekend? Does Tom Brady's extension guarantee he's playing to and perhaps past age 45? And it certainly looks like the Seahawks are finally trying to make Russ happy in Seattle. Good morning and welcome to First Thing First, everyone. Jenna Wolf alongside Brandon and Nick and Kevin's on board. And boy, we got a jam-packed show. We got some amazing guests this morning, but you know where we must start with the big news over the weekend. The end of the road for Drew Brees. I mean, guys, we all thought he was done after last season, 20 in the NFL, but then he went and he posted that workout video and we thought, maybe? Is it possible? But yesterday, Drew Brees making it official on Instagram, thanking everyone in his circle. He said it's not goodbye. Instead, it's a new beginning. And then he got some help from his friends, his 4 very best friends. Take a listen.
After 15 years in the Saints and 20 years in the NFL, our dad is finally going to retire. So we can spend more time with us. Yay!
That is a great reason to do it. Numbers, numbers, numbers. Drew Brees finishing his career as the NFL's all-time leader, more than 80,000 passing yards. One of the most accurate quarterbacks. Hey, I'll say it, one of the best we've ever seen at the position. So, Brandon, let's kick it off with you. You played with Drew. What was your reaction to his retirement yesterday?
Well, I wouldn't say I played with Drew. I definitely held his helmet and tried to be a great teammate on the sideline. I was there for a month and a half, but I was able to witness greatness. That's what I was able to witness. And as far as my reaction, I didn't have a reaction because we all knew, or we should have known, that Drew Brees was walking away from the game after the season, especially after that moment of him and his wife embracing after their last game and their loss to the Tampa Bay Bucks. For Drew Brees, the thing that pops out to my mind, in my mind is this: what he was able to accomplish after that 2005 injury. Like, that was a devastating injury. That's probably the worst injury a quarterback can sustain. And what he was able to accomplish after. We're talking about winning a Super Bowl. He's all-time leader in yards. He's second all-time in TDs. And he probably has a handful of other records, that we can show and talk about. This dude's greatness and his level of commitment was second to none. His mastery is something that also sticks out. He is the one guy in the National Football League that mastered the process, that mastered, being able to be the same guy every single day. So was I surprised? Absolutely not. I think everybody on the show, Jenna, you included, when he posted that video, it was like, well, is he coming back? I was like, guys, he's fooling you. You know he's not coming back. And Jenna was like, well, who pushes weight that way? Like, who does those exercises? He's pushing a sled through a parking lot. Yeah, Jenna's like, oh, he's definitely going to come back, or he's thinking about coming back. I was like, no, it's over. So, Nick, the biggest takeaway for me was what he was able to accomplish after that 2005 injury.
And I think sometimes in the moment a guy retires, especially a guy we've been talking so much about for the last 15 years, you almost gloss over some of the first line on the resume stuff. And here's what Drew Brees unequivocally is. He is the greatest free agent signing in the history of the NFL. With respect to Reggie White, Drew Brees took that title from him when, and this is the second line on the resume, when he saved football in the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana. I think it is eminently reasonable to say, if not for Drew Brees remaking the Saints post-Katrina, the Saints would not have been able to remain in New Orleans. So that goes along with all of the statistical greatness that we showed leading up to this conversation. And listen, Brady's going to, in the couple categories where Brees is first all time, Brady's almost assuredly going to pass him this year. So Brees is going to finish second in almost every major passing category, but he's got a big cushion. Like touchdown passes where he's second, If you look at the great quarterbacks who are chasing him, Rodgers needs 160 to pass him. Russ needs more than 300 touchdown passes to pass him.
Wow.
And some of the other things, Wilds, that Drew Brees made feel commonplace. So there have been 14 seasons in NFL history where a quarterback completed 70% of his passes. Brees has 7. Every other quarterback ever has 7. There has been 12 seasons in NFL history where a quarterback threw for 5,000 yards. Brees has 5. Every other quarterback in NFL history has 7. So the super high volume, super high efficiency passer, Drew Brees kind of invented that and is on a corner by himself historically in that category. And that is the statistical legacy to go along with the bigger legacy, which I think is saving football in New Orleans.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, I'm not a Saints fan. I never saw Drew Brees play in person, but I watched a lot of Saints games, and I think Drew Brees is one of the reasons why the NFL dominates TV ratings for a few reasons. One, that style of play like Nick was talking about, the guy was just fun to watch. He had 5,000-yard seasons. He led the league in passing per game 6 times. So you knew if you turned on a Saints game, it was going to be fun to watch. Also made the Saints super relevant. Like a generation before us, guys, the Saints were just like the laughing stock of the league. They went to the playoffs 5 times since 1967. Drew Brees gets there, takes them to the playoffs 9 times. Then the other part of it is, just like any great TV show, there was a lot of drama. There was a lot of surprises. There was a lot of twists and turns. Sometimes Drew Brees was on the opposite side of it. Sometimes they're getting winning the Super Bowl, putting the, little earmuffs on his son. But other times, the Minnesota Miracle, the pass interference, of course, and the offensive non-call pass interference was just kind of tough. Where you're like, Drew Brees, there was so much drama there. And Nick, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the one ring, since people are bringing that up. I don't think it's a knock against the guy at all. There's only a dozen guys in the history of the NFL who have more than 1 ring. And when you look at the list, if you were making starting a football team from scratch with every guy at their prime, it's not like you would say oh, you know what? I definitely want Montana over Drew Brees, or I definitely want Brady over Drew Brees. I think the 1 ring, just because there's such a big gulf between him and Brady, doesn't really mean much. I still think you put him in that upper tier of elite guys.
Well, I think let me jump in real quick, because I think this is an instructive graphic, and I want the audience to leave it up there for a moment so the audience can kind of have it sink in, because I do think there are at least a handful of guys with 2 rings that without question people say, well, Brees is better than him. Listen, Brees is better than Eli. Brees is better than Bob Greasy. Brees is better than Big Ben. As far as the modern guys with 2 rings. But Brandon, I want to show you a different graphic, because I do think that if one of these playoff runs had gone differently, I think Brees jumps a level. This is what I would consider your 15 best quarterbacks of the modern era. So with respect to guys basically starting with, don't worry, the guys pre-1970, Bart Starr, Fran Tarkington, those guys, take them out. I think Brees is a ring away if the Minneapolis Miracle doesn't happen, if the DPI is called, if maybe the pass interference on Kyle Rudolph is called, and they go on to win the Super Bowl. I think for the time being, he jumps up ahead of Rodgers. Instead, I think he's pretty securely right there, and that's where I think the legacy hit of not having the 2nd ring comes into play, Brandon.
Yeah, but Nick, you just talked about how he invented the efficient quarterback. So right now when I'm looking at this pyramid, I put him in front of our guy, Terry Bradshaw, and Roger, and even Favre, because of how he played the quarterback position and how he elevated the game. We're talking about a dude who mastered the process. What do I mean by process? Literally, when he wakes up in the morning until he goes to bed, there's nobody just locked in on a routine like Drew Brees. And we're talking about that trickling down from him all the way down to the damn scout team. So Drew Brees, man, the way he played the game, the way he approached the game is second to none. I would say he's ahead of all of those guys on that chart outside of probably Peyton Manning when it comes to that. Now, when it comes to winning championships, that's a whole nother conversation. Now we're talking about teams, we're talking about coaches. So I think it starts to peel back the layers. But Drew Brees, man, congratulations on an amazing career. And man, I can't wait to see the next chapter.
So can I put you on the spot real quick? Because, listen,
put me on the
he's
spot.
one of the greatest players ever. Because you mentioned Favre, and this is going to be tough, and we'll allow you to revise over the course of the show. Rank these three quarterbacks: Rodgers, Favre, Brees. Because that's how I would rank them. Rodgers, Favre, Brees. It sounds like I don't know where you have it. So that's those three guys.
I give you Rodgers. All right, that's one, and I give you Brees, then Favre, and I give you Favre like a distant third, seriously. Like Rodgers, he's number one, because Rodgers, a couple years ago, about 5-6 years ago, we were talking about Rodgers going down as potentially as the greatest quarterback ever. That's what everybody was talking about. And then all of a sudden, he couldn't get over the hump, the same thing we saw last year, and then insert Patrick Mahomes. And we know what Tom Brady is. Drew Brees, the numbers that I can't articulate that, those numbers better than you can. You just said it, man. You're talking about efficiency at the position. That is second to none. So we got to give respect to Drew Brees for how he approached the game and how he got it done every single Sunday for 20 years.
All right, so now what's next for the New Orleans Saints?